G'day everyone, Nick Yim, GP in Hervey Bay.
And I'm Mark McMurtrie, Pharmacist in Hervey Bay. Welcome back to the Dispensary channel. We are your weekly health professional update with product reviews, wine reviews, and we're keeping your finger on the pulse with product shortages and health professional news. So Nick, maybe we recap what we talked about last episode?
Yeah, last episode I thought it was an interesting case study that we had. It was about shingles, something that's pretty common for our patients. We see a bit of shingles around, and I think it's occurring at a younger age. I think the take-home message is the benefits of the shingles vaccination. I think it's something where both GPs and pharmacists is mentioned to the patients as, hey, have you had that vaccination? If not, have a talk with the GP.
Well, the one thing that I learned out of that is we for the 71 to 79-year-olds, you've only got 2 years, so it's October 2021 that they've gotten for that catch-up dose, and then it's out of the NIS. So 7-year-olds from then on. The other important thing is pharmacist vigilance. If the patient comes in, just being aware of those red flags and having no hesitation to refer or even pick up the phone then and there to see if they can get in as quick as possible.
Cool. What are we talking about tonight?
So tonight we thought we would chat about a hot topic in the news, which is going around, is the smoke from fires that are happening. This dry heat and dry weather is causing a lot of fires, and we thought we'd have a quick chat about the respiratory problems along with that, and what we can keep an eye on, and maybe some prevention measures.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something where the smoke, even up here in Hervey Bay, it's been quite unprecedented. It's been very dry. We've got a lot of bushfires going around nationwide in Australia. And I think you were telling me the other day you were reading a newspaper article about the air quality.
Well, that was staggering. It was only a couple of days ago. I read it was comparing the particle quality, so the air quality, to how many cigarettes you're potentially smoking. Was just staggering.
Okay. What numbers were thrown around?
Well, some suburbs were recording air quality similar to smoking a packet of cigarettes, so 20 or 30 cigarettes in the day. So that's a worry, and it just makes you wonder what we should be telling patients about this, and how we can alleviate it and prevent any further exacerbations.
Definitely. And I think the patients that we need to be wary of is people with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, asthma. I think that group, they're quite vulnerable because this time of year, it's a festive season. You've got your red shirt on, I've got my hat on. We don't really think about exacerbation of COPD or asthma.
You usually think it's in winter that it gets worse, but I'm seeing a lot of it now.
Yeah, and absolutely. So I think this is an opportunity that we might talk about, maybe prevention, obviously treatment. And we'll talk around that. So I think from your point of view, obviously as a pharmacist, I know a lot of my patients often pop in to see the pharmacist first, and they might have a chat with you guys.
Well, I'm seeing, especially this past week, a lot of patients coming in for top-ups with their reliever puffers. And not only that is people with allergic rhinitis and allergy trouble. This dust and smoke's really setting them off. So that's also another, and we can probably talk about that later. But I think it's important not to just dispense and give them their reliever and send them on their way, but now is the time to have a chat about, hey, maybe we can recap if they've got an action plan, possibly, or what else they can do to prevent instead of just treat it all the time. So what would you recommend?
So I think I like to break down my consultation into a few things. So let's talk about prevention. So for those junior doctors out there, we'll be talking about pretty much the umbrella of both COPD and asthma. So these counselling points can be used in both disease states. So I guess the first step with prevention, talking about specifically for the smoke, what I often mention to my patients is, at the moment, is you have to spend your money. Okay? You have to spend your money to close your windows, turn your aircon. Because
right.
that's what it comes down to, because a lot of people locally in Hervey Bay, they think, it's a little bit warm, They'd rather open up the windows.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for people with COPD and asthma, that potentially could be the worst thing for them to do, because they're just letting smoke directly into the household.
Yeah, and you know what, I'm noticing that with... I actually had a carer come in that visits her elderly patients, and some of the elderly still have the mentality of, let's open the window for fresh air, when in reality, the fresh air would be inside. You know, close the windows, get them to turn the air conditioning on, and, you know, suck it up for those few days with the power bill. But I think in the long run, for their overall health and their lungs, it's better.
Absolutely. So that's one element, is try and manage the environment, and it can be very, very difficult to manage the environment.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on maybe masks as prevention?
Oh, to be honest, I haven't really looked at the evidence with regards to masks, but theoretically, like the masks that we see in shops, in supermarkets, down at Bunnings, they're not the greatest. You do have to look at the proper masks. And I think you did a bit of research about that.
Well, I mean, a lot of the pharmacies don't really stock it. I mean, we had a stock of swine flu masks, and they were basically just paper with elastic around it. But a lot of the evidence I'm reading for this kind of smoke and particulate, it's too fine to have that mask have any benefit. So there's no point offering paper masks to your patients right now. In fact, if you do your homework, you'll find that you have to have pretty advanced masks to catch that very fine particulate. So there's actually rated masks. They call it N95 or P100. Those two are some of the rated masks, but you won't find those in pharmacies. And I don't know if I'd even recommend it to any of my patients. I suppose unless they had severe, I don't know, even then severe patients are the elderly, and they really don't want to get around with a mask all the time.
Yeah, I think the key elements is obviously, then we've got the next steps as well, such as your action plans. And you do have we all know about our asthma action
plans.
But we also have the avenues of a COPD action plan. And when I educate my medical students and also registrars about action plans, I actually use them essentially concurrently.
Yeah. So they're similar?
They're very, very similar.
Yeah, right.
Like the templates might be very, very slightly different, but the counselling points are almost identical.
Yeah, there you go.
So patients in both disease states, they'll have a preventer.
Yep.
Okay, so preventer, that could be your inhaled corticosteroid if it's your asthma group, or it could be your long-acting antimuscarinic inhalers, such as tiotropium in your COPD group. But the preventer never changes.
Yeah.
They always stay the same. Okay.
Yeah.
If they're feeling well, they theoretically should not need to be using their reliever. Okay.
Yep.
Sometimes they might have a bit of exacerbation, a bit of shortness of breath, a bit of wheeze. Then you can use their reliever, maybe as an as-needed requirement. But at the current state with the air quality, I've actually been recommending to my COPD patients, hey, this is your opportunity to probably be using that reliever on a regular basis.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So there's no problem with using that during this period?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because the key thing is you want them to feel comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. In the action plans for the people with moderate to severe disease, I often have prednisone on there as well.
Yeah, okay. Tablets? Or...
tablets.
Okay.
And I always tell them, if they do start the prednisone tablets, make sure you make that appointment with your GP.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I think that's really prudent, but sometimes it can be a lifesaver, especially over the weekends, etc., etc. It saves them going to hospital.
Well, that's it. I mean, when they get those exacerbations, it's hard for a pharmacist to differentiate whether it's maybe they've got a viral or some sort of infection going on, or if it's the air quality. So would that be a referral point where you'd rather us, send to you just to check on that?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's something where, as we mentioned in the previous episode, I actually enjoy getting those phone calls from pharmacists, because at least we can say, whether we make that appointment for there and then, or they can be reviewed in 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's hard for us to know whether it's urgent.
So I think the take-home message for COPD and asthma, obviously, prevention's key. Updating the action plans, especially in this current state of weather with the extra smoke in the air. But don't forget about talking about smoking cessation, immunisations. And I think next week we might talk about smoking cessation, because I think that's a really good opportunity to educate our viewers.
Absolutely. And I think, and I'll wrap it up. So for the pharmacists, two things. Number one is when the patient comes in for their top-up of their reliever, ask the questions. Do they have that action plan in place? Do they know what to do if it gets worse or exacerbates? And the second thing is, I've forgotten the second thing. What was the second thing? First thing, action plan.
Referral. Pick up the phone.
Referral.
Yep.
And the second thing would be just be vigilant on those referral points. If you hear alarm bells, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and maybe chat with the doctor if it's worth sending in urgently, or if you think it can wait.
Definitely. So I think let's move on.
Yep.
I guess I've got a bit of a pet peeve at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
what's that about?
Yeah. I think we always talk about controversies. Let's talk about Symbicort and Duoresp.
Yeah, okay, right.
So I've just learned recently that you can actually substitute, Pharmacist can substitute Duoresp instead of Symbicort.
Yeah, okay.
What's the go there?
So the go is, so it's only been recent, so a couple of years ago, they brought out a bioequivalent device of the same strength and medicines as the Turbuhaler. So that's been around for donkey's years, the Turbuhaler. However, the kicker is this device functions and the patient uses it completely differently to the Turbuhaler. So, I mean, I imagine you get frustrated if you spend the time counselling a patient how to use it and running through all of the steps, and then they go into a pharmacy and it's a completely different device.
Correct.
Yeah. It's just been a waste of your time.
Yeah, and I think it's the reason why I picked up on this particular patient was they were actually having both devices.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so they were actually using both Symbicort and Duoresp.
Oh, okay.
Because
they didn't know it was different.
They didn't know
they
it was
thought
different.
it was a different device. Yeah, okay. Right.
So I think that's one thing to be aware of. Is something where I've learned to educate my patients now that just letting you know that there is actually no PBS price difference between those two products. And ensure as a GP actually you are counselling on the right device.
Well, you won't know that until they take the script into the pharmacy. You won't know which choice they're offered.
Yeah, I guess as a GP you can actually specify whether you want the brand substitute or not.
Yeah.
Okay, something to be aware of. And the other thing that I think I learnt today is they're actually not substitutable in kids.
Yeah, interesting. So if you go into the fine print on the PBS, we were doing a bit of research. It actually says that the Turbuhaler is okay from 12. Pretty sure it's 12 and up. However, the Duoresp is for adults only, so 18 and up.
Yeah.
So pharmacists to be aware of that. If you have a patient being substituted and they're under 18, you might get yourself in a bit of hot water.
Okay, but that's something to be aware of. It's something where I only knew recently about the Duoresp. I didn't realise that came on product. But I guess this is something like a lot of drugs are becoming off patent now. Okay, so and I think something such as
generics are coming out,
such as for Serotype, I believe they've got a couple of generics available. So, but they're the same device. They're all the metered dosing.
Correct. Same device, different colours though. That confuses a few patients. And there's actually one generic that doesn't show how many doses are left.
Oh, okay.
Which can be a bit of a trouble.
So that's something to be aware of in the community.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
Something a bit more lighthearted. I know our fans do enjoy the wine reviews. Review something a little bit local to Hervey Bay.
Yeah, to Hervey Bay.
Oh, it's not to Hervey Bay, to the Hervey Bay region. So
yeah, fair enough.
Queensland's not really renowned to be a wine growing district.
No, too hot.
So what we've got here is a 2014 Moffatdale Cabernet Sauvignon. Okay.
Where are we drinking? Moffatdale.
Moffatdale. It's a very, very small winery, which is west of Hervey Bay, west of the Frozen Coast.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we might have to do a bit of driving and find some of these little small ones.
Yeah, but what do you think of the wine, Mark?
Well, so Cab Sav's my favourite blend. I think 9 times out of 10 I'll choose that over anything. Where have I put it? I actually had a nurse friend say to me, I can't believe you only drink small sips. And that first episode, that glass was sitting there for so long. And she's like, just drink the darn thing, right? I quite like this one. Similar to the first episode we had, the dark reds are my favourites. It just brings me back to having something really full-bodied, It's not too chewy, like it's not overly, rambunctious in your mouth. I think I made a word up there, but I'm going to stick with it. I like this fruitiness. What do you think?
Well, I personally, I like to experiment with some of the local produce that we have in Queensland because unless you try it, give it a go, it can be quite surprising.
Yeah.
It definitely does have a good flavour to it. It's not as heavy as, say, your South Australian Cabernet Sauvignons, but it is very palatable. It is drinkable. And I'll definitely go with that with a red meat.
Oh, absolutely. I'm actually surprised. So from a small winery, this is delicious. It's not quite as heavy as some of the Cab Sav I have. It's more drinkable, I think. And the barrels they must use are giving it a nice, dry tannin in the back of my mouth, which is not bad. If you want to have that cut in flavour, I quite like that. Yeah. What are we giving this out of mortar and pestles?
I was going to give it about a 3.5.
I think that's exactly what I was thinking.
3.5 out of 5.
3.5 out of 5. Ding ding.
Yeah, very good. Let's move on. Next, almost close to wrapping it up for tonight. What's in stock? What's out of stock?
Finger on the pulse. So I'm going to keep you updated each week with a list I've decided. So there's still the usuals we spoke about last week. A new one that's not a common tablet medicine is Moffatdale. That's unavailable at the moment.
Okay. Is that across the whole line?
Every generic, every strength, unavailable. And we've still got problems with the Epipen. They predict that to be end of January at the latest predictions.
I guess a bit of a tip that I often recommend to my patients, even if they do have any expired stock, just keep them handy for just in case. It's better for them to have something better
expired stock.
Yeah, better than nothing, especially for anaphylactic reactions.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Right.
So if they can't find anything, ideally something's better than nothing.
Well, I'm happy to refer straight to you for them to have a review of their medicine, especially if it's...
No, I'm talking about the Epipen.
Oh, sorry, your Epipen. Yeah. No, I'm with you now. Yeah, that's a good point. Keep the Epipen, but,
you don't want them using it, ideally, but I think it's something where if they can't get it anywhere, and they're desperate...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even your pharmacy can actually give you an Epipen without a prescription. Not a lot of people are aware of that, or they forget. I think if you were stuck, because at the moment it's just the junior that's unavailable, if your child was having a reaction and the only option was to go to a pharmacy and get an adult Epipen, why wouldn't you? Right? If there's... anyway, it's case by case, but that's my thought. If you can get your hands on something, do it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, anything else we want to cover tonight?
I think just to update everyone, next few weeks, we're going to have a few interesting topics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're going to talk a bit about weight loss.
Well, this is the time where we should be thinking about, we've got New Year's coming up. Everyone's making their New Year's resolutions. We're going to talk about some of the top ones, really. Weight loss.
Smoking.
Yep, quitting smoking. We'll talk about that, hey?
To be honest, I'm not a fan of New Year's resolutions.
Well, yes and no, but so whatever works. I mean, if it's in the mind of the patient that they're going to do something, then grasp it and run with it.
Yep, definitely.
Absolutely. We may possibly miss an episode further later in the year when it's after the Christmas break and I'm too hungover to talk, but
I think
I'm actually going camping.
Yeah, and I think we've also got a special guest coming.
We do have a special guest coming. Surprise guest, we'll let you know, and you just keep subscribing and keep updated and let your friends know about us, because we love hearing your feedback and what you want to hear about.
Yep, give us some topics. I think that's the key thing. This is a channel for you guys, so let us know what you want to hear about.
Don't be shy. I have people give me comments and I say, well, why don't you write it down for me? Write it on the YouTube. We'll give you a shout out. If you leave a comment, we'll put your name up on it, hey?
Sounds good.
Make you famous. All right.
Have a good week.
Have a good week. Catch you next week.